We're here at Franja Academy with Primož Jamšek. Primož, welcome.
Thank you.
You're working at Slovene Philanthropy. Could you tell us what you do at this organization?
So at the moment I'm working on the response on the needs of society with volunteering. So at the moment I'm more involved into refugee crisis, but also to other issues which needs a huge response of volunteers inside Slovenia.
Yeah, and how many volunteers do we then speak? How big is this need?
When we talk about volunteering in Slovenia, it's like Slovene Philanthropy is working as it's recognized in other countries as volunteer center. So we do volunteer matching. So we connect people with needs who are from other voluntary organization or directly from the people. So it is a lot of volunteers who are going through our organization. And in fact, we regularly work inside our organization with around 400 till 500 volunteers.
Here in Slovenia?
No, in our organization.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the moment with a little bit bigger amount of needs. But inside Slovenia, there is no really concrete numbers how many volunteers is working. But still, we approximately calculated that it's around 180,000 people doing regular volunteering in Slovenia.
Yeah, so that's quite a lot.
Yeah, in fact, we also had like the big cleaning action, which in one day connected more than 280,000 Slovenes to do volunteering.
Yeah.
So,
and just for the record, Slovenia only has 2 million people. So
yeah. So the percentage is quite huge, and we are really proud of this. Not as Slovene Philanthropy, but as Slovenes can be really proud that we still show a lot of solidarity.
Yeah. Do you have explanation for that, why that is?
I think that it was always in some kind of tradition. Things a little bit changed in last years. The thing is that we cannot count on the state as much as we could count it before. So we have a little bit of this knowledge that, okay, maybe if we want something to do it fast, then we should organize by themselves. And people, they are ready to, not to just participate as volunteers, they are also ready then to involve their funds and so on to get one idea concrete.
Yeah, and the volunteer work where your organization is working with, what kind of work is that then? You just said already this volunteers in this refugee crisis, but what other organizations approach you for volunteers?
So inside our organization, then we also have we say it voluntary service, because there are always some people in need and they don't need any support from any organization, and then we go and organize volunteer work by ourselves. Then we have the intergenerational community centers, 5 of them around Slovenia, and volunteers, they do workshop and also some activities for local community to build up and to be connected.
But what kind of services are they then? Do they perform then there in these centers?
Very different workshops, from, I don't know, cultural workshops, from social learning assistance till, I don't know, sport events, so everything. And what is then is also that in our program volunteering, then we do concrete counseling to voluntary organization, a lot of them also sport organization, exactly how to organize the things, and then we are involved into many different projects. So
how do you get a volunteer?
In fact, we created web page which is about connecting the volunteer needs and volunteers. It was promoted a lot in past, and now it's also when you just type volunteering, it just found you. So on that web page is around 170 voluntary opportunities published each day. So, and it can be very successful sometimes. Of course, then we have to go
so what
to...
makes it, what are the, what can make it successful?
Because I think that because it's a concrete volunteer opportunity, it's a concrete description what I could do, what I could participate. Because it's the presentation of the volunteer work is also that it's described what exactly I will be doing, what experiences and knowledge I should have to participate, and how much time it will take to me. If it's this per week, or if it's this monthly, or it's just one-time event. And this is what is really important that people can decide. Even if you are busy and you're all the time complaining that you don't have time, if you just say, read somewhere that, okay, you have 5 hours per year, okay, then I will participate.
Yeah. As I see it, there are also a lot of people who only want to do work if they want to get paid, of course, they want to get something. How did it go with you when you search for volunteers? Because there are also a lot of events, if they want volunteers, people only want to do something if they're going to get paid.
You always have to discuss with volunteers why volunteering inside the organization, why not paid job? What's the difference? What if there will be someone paid? What is the role of workers and what is the role of volunteers? Then it's really divided.
Yeah.
The roles.
Is there something to say in generality? What is the difference between those two?
Sometimes in responsibility, sometimes the organization, they don't count so much on volunteers because it can always come something in between. Sometimes it's also about the difference on the how hard work is to do. If it's really not nice work, then you just give to worker, not to volunteer.
Yeah. And yeah, for instance, for Marathon Franja, we also have a lot of volunteers working. What does a volunteer who's working for a project like that, what does he gain? Because there are some gains, of course, that for a volunteer also. What does a volunteer gain?
I think that for all who are cycling fans, I think that being part of Marathon Franja is a very important thing. Is this identification thing. They get the feeling that they are part of something huge and something what is really important for them. They can also gain a lot of experiences, how to organize the events. They gain the networking, meet new friends and also the friends with the same values. Maybe they don't get real recognition as they should, but still, each volunteer, he takes out what he wants. He will gain what exactly he would like to gain. Even it's like when I remember on my volunteering, it's like I was getting a lot, but that time it was not really important for me. So, in fact, I was not getting anything.
Yeah, and what is now currently the trend with volunteering? Is it stable? Is it growing?
The trend of volunteering is a little bit tricky at the moment. In fact, we have a little bit collapse of social systems. in Europe, so everything is getting more capitalistic, it's more money orientated. So the thing is that we are in very dangerous position that volunteers will have to take the jobs who are now doing the employed people. And this is something what we would not like to do. Even if we are for promoting volunteering, we still would like that some jobs, they are done by professionals, that states just say, okay, this is our job, not job of volunteers. It cannot be like solving the refugee crisis with volunteers. This should be the state issue, not a voluntary issue.
Yeah,
so
but,
this is
but
maybe
still you have a lot of volunteers working at the refugee crisis.
yes.
Yeah.
Because they didn't take the role.
They didn't take that?
They didn't take the role as they should.
Yeah, okay.
And still, it's like, okay, then you can say, okay, then I will not organize the volunteer work, but they are concrete people, and you just cannot go and say, okay, now today we strike, we will not do our volunteering.
Yeah.
Because you will put someone in bad position.
Yeah. So actually there are volunteers that are doing work that should actually have been done by
state, yes.
Employment. Yeah.
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 But still, it's like the refugee crisis is the new situation for the state, and even if they have been talking that they are ready, they were not really ready. So later, they were a little bit more organized, and we could lower the number of the volunteers. But at the beginning, it was really everything, also cleaning of the centers. It was just counted on volunteers.
Yeah. And how you deal, for instance, with companies that come to you that ask for volunteer work for types of work, or what you say, yeah, that's actually paid work. How do you deal with that?
It's like, yeah, companies in Slovenia, they really like to do this corporate volunteering, to do some social responsible actions. It's quite hard to connect them with the field, because usually the companies, they would like to send 10, 20 employees at once, and voluntary organizations, they are quite small, and it's really to this match, it's hard to make between the opportunities in Slovenia and will of companies. So we just transfer them to the possibilities which they are. I don't know, for example, last week there was one company coming to our organization because we got the new place here in Ljubljana, and it's also outdoor place, and we have been doing the wooden chairs outside, which will be used not just for our organization, but it's some society park. So yeah, they have been coming, they bought the materials and helping to make it out of the wood. And it was nice team building for them. We have concrete results there, and we are all happy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I actually meant was, if there are also companies that come to you that ask you for volunteers for work, okay, for which they should actually pay, but they just want, you know,
of course,
cheap labor.
They are coming, some companies or some individuals. So we just say to them no. So there is the law here in Slovenia, so that is the black work. So
okay, so that is arranged already. So
yeah.
Okay.
So I just tell them, please don't call anymore, because later I will have to report to inspection.
So it's not really something that can happen, that volunteers take over work from?
No. But as I said, like slowly, with the minimum of social rights, with the lowering the financing of association, then volunteers are getting more and more involved and more important in these organizations. Yeah. It's not like really directly, okay, now we have, for example, one nurse and we will replace her with 10 volunteers. It's going a little bit slower and
Yeah.
policy in back.
Yeah,
So,
but it is something that you as organization are also aware of, and
yeah, and we are very careful about this.
yeah. Okay. Where do you currently have most volunteers working? In what kind of services?
Sorry,
So let's say that on what kind of services are the most volunteers working in? Are we then talking about sport events, or like you said, the refugee crisis? Where are now the most volunteers involved in?
Okay. It's really hard to say because it's no real statistic, but one statistic show that it's like, I think that still in civic protection, and we have in Slovenia really a lot of voluntary fire guards, so they totally win. Because every smaller town, it has its own fire brigade, which is composed just by volunteers. It's totally depending on volunteers. This is long tradition here in Slovenia. And then maybe the social field, it was not so many volunteers in back, but now it's more and more of them involved. So
Yeah. I guess you did volunteer work yourself also.
Yeah.
What kind of things did you do?
I really did a lot of different things. It's like I started to volunteering here at Slovenian Philanthropy, where I'm now employed.
Okay.
So it's like in this way.
So you can even make a career in it.
Somehow, yes, because employer could just meet you, get the feeling who you are, and so on. It was really like my will to be employed here at the moment when I started, but yeah, it showed up that it's the place for me. The second, I was really working a lot with delinquent minors, organizing camps for them, and then I was also working with ex-drug users. So mostly on the social field, and also in last years the project of supplies of food. It's a little bit social orientated, but also ecological orientated.
So you still do volunteer work next to your normal job?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you do it? Why did you decide to do volunteer work?
It's like there were very different reasons why I decided in my life, in very different. It's like once I decided because I would like just that my free time is not wasted, that I do something useful. Then I wanted to, when I started to work at Slovenian Philanthropy, I just wanted to see if I can work with the small children or not, just to get these experiences, if it's this for me or not. And the last thing is like I'm involved into the project of supplies of food because I would like to change the system. Because all the time they are saying, no, you cannot, this is not possible in Slovenia. It's like, come on, we are a group of volunteers doing this now for more than 2 years and we can do it. So there is no reason that somebody else could not do it. So my motivation is, of course, I'm going to the restaurant and to the shop and pick up the food and bring to the people who need the food. But I'm doing this because I would like to make the model which will be going around Slovenia. So my reasons are a little bit different than maybe it's shown on the first way. And it's changing all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Welcome.